Verizon time.
You enjoy.
Is it?
Okay, well,
I have 7:01.
all right.
It's bedtime.
If we could come to order, please, we will move into closed session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk? Well, actually, we have a motion and a second. I'll read the resolution and then we'll call the roll. Be it resolved, Montgomery County Board of Supervisors hereby enters into closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following. Section 2.2-3711, subsection 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, discipline, or resignation of specific officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and it's for Parks and Recreation Commission. Please, ma'am.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Mr. Bone? Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Fichikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
7 ayes.
7 ayes. We're in closed session. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:15, and at this time, is there a motion by the board to come out of closed meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Okay. Ms. Blevins?
Here. Aye.
Mr. Fichikowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Certification of closed meeting. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion conveying the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Fichikowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Ladies and gentlemen, since this is our organizational meeting this evening, I'm running the meeting for at least the first item or two on the agenda. And our next item on the agenda is a moment of silence. I'll ask everyone to stand, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Board members, our first item on the agenda this evening is the first item that we do at the beginning of each new year, and that is to elect a chair of the board for 2020. Once I announce that the floor is open for nominations, nominations may be made. No seconded, no seconds are required. Once all the nominations have been made, we'll take a motion to close the nominations, and then we will vote on those that are nominated. So at this point in time, the floor is open to receive nominations for chair of the board for 2020.
Mr. Meadows, I'd like to nominate Steve Fichikowski for chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Blevins. We have a nomination for Supervisor Fichikowski. Are there other nominations for chair?
I make a motion to close nominations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close nominations. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. Do they have to vote on closing? Thank you. vote to close the nominations, please.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, our next vote is on the nomination of Supervisor Fidzikowski as chair.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Congratulations, Supervisor Fidzikowski. Yeah, raise it. Congratulations.
Thank you all. Our next order of business is to elect a vice chair. The floor is open for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Supervisor Bone. I'd like to make a motion to close nominations.
Second.
Okay, do we need a vote on the closing the nominations?
Okay. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Bone? Aye. Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Chair Wojciechowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Now you need to vote on Ms. Bone as vice chair.
Okay, now we're going to have a vote on Supervisor Bone for vice chair.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Bone? Aye. Chair Wojciechowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Very good. Congratulations, Supervisor Bone.
Put your hands forward.
Need any help?
I think I got it.
You got it?
You again.
Me again.
I got it. I got it.
Is that yours?
For Supervisor Fidzikowski and Supervisor Bone, congratulations again.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
that'd be you.
Supervisor Biggs.
Yes, I would just like to thank Supervisor King for his service last year as our chair. And I would like to thank him for, bringing us together and, including everyone. And I think that your service deserves to be recognized. So I want to thank you publicly.
Thank you. Ready to move on, sir?
Okay, our next order of business is selection of our meeting dates. We have a resolution for meeting dates. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
And there's no,
Is there any discussion?
I was just going to add, Mr. Chair, there's no proposed change. The dates are still the second and fourth Monday of each month, beginning at 6 if a closed session is required, otherwise at 7:15. We always announce 6, but we modify that depending on the length of the closed session agendas. Yep, ready to vote.
Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone? Aye. Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Mott?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Chair Wojciechowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next order of business is rules of order and parliamentary procedure. We have a resolution for that. Is there a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Meadows, would you want to comment on that?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the items are the same as they were last year as far as rules of order. We talk about utilizing Robert's Rules of Order, appropriations, how things are resolved in case of a tie vote. Consent agenda is referenced in here. how we distribute agendas, time limits for citizens to address the board, presentations, recognition and awards, time limits, and also the rule about meetings will adjourn no later than 11:30 p.m. unless a vote's taken to extend. Again, these are the rules that we've had from years past. Should anybody have any questions on that?
Is there any discussion?
Yes. I would like to change Rule 16 to note 3 minutes to address the board during public address instead of 5. Is that something we can vote on?
You can amend, yes, sir, you can adopt the resolution of...
Do we have to have a second on that?
I believe so.
Do we have a second on that?
Can I ask a question first? I'm sorry. My internet connection is not working. Could you please read Rule 16 for me? I can't get it to load.
I can for you.
Thank you.
Individual speakers will be limited to 5 minutes to address the board during the public address and public hearing portions of the meeting. Applicants and/or agents of land use issues will be limited to 15 minutes to address the board during the public hearing portion of the meeting.
And you propose changing it from 5 minutes to 3 minutes?
In the last year, I can remember at least twice, maybe 3 times, that we've had to vote to go over 11 o'clock because we had so many speakers. And I think if it were 3 minutes, it would allow more people to speak in a shorter period of time. Or maybe allow people to speak that didn't get a chance because it got so late.
Is there a second?
Do we have any idea what other boards do? I know that
Our school board does.
they have a set time frame, and we had the 5 minutes plus no limit on the number of speakers. I think the town of Blacksburg is 3 minutes as well.
I think so.
Point of order, we're having a discussion without a second.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's not your fault, we just didn't second it.
I'll
So-
second it so we can have a
Okay.
discussion.
Okay, there you go. Now continue.
Okay. Yeah, now we have a motion and a second we can discuss.
Well, do you have anything else, April?
No.
Okay, I have, you all have heard me speak to this before. I think our job is to listen to our citizens. And the reason that we went from 3 minutes to 5 minutes is because way back, I know you guys get sick of hearing this, but way back when we were having some citizens come, 3 minutes wasn't enough time. And I can tell you, I've spoke before the Board of Supervisors for 15 years before I ever got on it, and you have to really practice your speech to get everything you want to say down to 3 minutes. And when you get up there and you start talking, or if you lose your place or something happens, 3 minutes goes by really fast. So I will be voting against this motion because I feel it's our job to listen to our folks. And I've learned a lot through that, and it's been in effect, I believe, since 2000 maybe. That's when we changed it. So we've had it that way since then.
I know there's several counties in the state that have 3 minutes. There's probably some that have 5. There are some that have no public address. So, I mean, I think that's a fair compromise for everybody's time.
Any other discussion?
Well, and to Supervisor Shepherd's point, I do know that people have told me after a meeting that they had to leave either to finish the evening, get dinner prepared, put their children to bed, and they wanted to speak and they just weren't able to because of public comment going on for so long. So I do understand the point of it might allow access to more speakers in a faster time frame. Would you be willing to meet in the middle and possibly go to 4 minutes instead of 3?
But if that's what it takes to get a consensus, yeah. If Miss Biggs would.
I wouldn't. I like the 5 minutes. You know, it is only 3 times in probably 2 years that I've been on the board. I think it happens when it's a pretty active and important issue. And I think I think the citizens deserve to be heard. I'd like to keep it at 5 minutes.
Well, if you really look at the situation, a lot of times, I think probably the public comment falls between 3 and 5. You know, people will, so it's not like everyone's getting up using the whole 5 minutes. And I think maybe the people like Ms. DeMott's was saying that had to leave, those were those really extended meetings where we had so many speakers, and I don't know if the 3-minute or 4-minute would have made a difference there or not.
As well as, I don't think the citizens know that they can email Ms. Sweeney and get on the public address list early on so that they can, you know, take care of their public address before they have to leave. So
I think that if citizens, am I too loud? Sorry. If citizens want to speak 5 minutes, that's what we're here to do, is listen. So I would want to keep the 5 minutes. I've spoken before to town council and to this board, and you're right, you lose your train of thought. You're nervous, and if they want to come up and speak, we're here to listen, and we should keep it at 5 minutes.
Supervisor King, any comment? No. Any more discussion? Well, I am and have always been a proponent of the 3-minute rule. I am willing to compromise to 4. I think it's more important that more people get to speak than it is for any individual to speak longer. So I would be willing to compromise it to 4.
Would anybody else be willing to compromise it to 4?
I would compromise.
Okay, we'll
So-
change the amendment to 4 minutes.
I was going to say, so the motion and second for 3 minutes needs to be amended to 4.
Yep, 4.
You motioned and you seconded.
So I just,
Okay, so we have an amended motion to
Amended.
limit to 4 minutes. Now, Marty, that wouldn't count for tonight because we've already given instruction out to citizens.
The board could say that, hey, we'll stay at 5 today and start next meeting.
I think that would only be fair
that's
that,
fair, yeah.
Yeah.
that we've already
Absolutely.
set that. So, don't want to chop anybody's speech off a minute early. Okay. No more discussion on the amended? Okay, we'll take a roll call.
Okay. Ms. Bowman?
no, apologize.
Ms. Biggs?
No.
Ms. DeMott's?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Fischer-Kowski?
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 no for 4 minutes.
Okay, so does that take care of our,
Code of Rules of Order.
the whole rules of order?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, then moving on to our next item is our Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct. We have a resolution for that. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Administrator King, would you, King?
The only
Meadows.
thing, no problem. I've
You
been
wanna-
called. I've been called. The only thing I'd add is this is also a document that the board adopts each year, and it's something that I share with other jurisdictions around the state that I'm very proud of. It's the board's statement related to their actions and how they will treat each other, and also expectations of board members and of county administrator and staff. It's a very good document. It talks about the expectations for each board member. So nothing's changed in this from prior years or from last year. It's here for your consideration.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Madam Secretary, if you call the roll.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Ms. DeMott's?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bowman?
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, our next item is our public hearing on a proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 9.1 Solid Waste Flow Control Ordinance.
Mr. Chair and board members, Marty, do you have a few introductory comments on this one? You don't?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say we've provided you a lot of information in your packet this evening related to the issue of flow control. This is an item that's been requested for the county to consider by the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority. As I mentioned, there's a lot of information there. I know the board has received lots of comments on this issue on both sides. We do have a number of speakers that are here to speak up to this issue tonight. And Mr. Chair, if there's no discussion, I'll be glad to start calling folks up.
I would just like to remind you all that when you come up to speak, you will get 5 minutes. Before you speak, you need to give us your name and address so we know who you are. And then you'll have the 5 minutes. Now, on the lectern is some lights, and each light means something. It gives you a little bit of a warning as your time is running out. And I believe the green light comes on when there's 2 minutes left.
I believe that's right.
And the yellow light comes on
Well, the
when you
green light stays on when it starts. Yellow light, I believe, is a minute, and then it starts flashing.
Okay. You have a minute when the yellow light comes on, so if you want to start wrapping it up, and then when the red light comes on, that's the end of your time. So just to go over that, please be respectful of everybody. If you feel so inclined that you are so moved by something that is said, instead of uttering a sound, you could raise your hand and show solidarity with that person. But we would please ask you to respect everybody that's speaking.
I will call the names one at a time, and I apologize if I mess up names. I can read pretty good, but sometimes I can't pronounce what I read. First speaker this evening is Chris Tuck.
It's a tough name.
Yeah, I've said that one once or twice, so I know that one.
Hello, my name is Christopher Tuck. I live at 539 Wisteria Drive. It's a Radford mailing address, but it's here in Montgomery County. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if flow control doesn't pass, there's going to need to be a tax increase to be able to pay for the additional cost of waste disposal and solid waste disposal here in Montgomery County. And this tax increase is not going to be for new schools. It's not going to be for teacher pay raises. It's not going to be for first responders equipment. It's not going to be for law enforcement. It's going to be able to address the increased cost as garbage doesn't go into our landfills, and it's going to drive up the cost of county citizens. And in turn, basically, that's going to end up subsidizing companies that are not based here in Montgomery County, but perhaps in Atlanta, Georgia, and other places. It's a fairly simple process. You have fixed costs. You have the cost of the equipment, and you have the cost of the employees. The more waste that goes into that facility, that drives those costs down. The waste that doesn't go into that facility and it starts going to parts elsewhere and goes down 81 to another landfill is going to drive up that landfill's cost. When those costs go up, that's when you're going to see citizens in the town of Blacksburg, the town of Christiansburg, and out in the county have their costs go up. When you look at that situation, it's pretty basic. And then when you start looking at how the Solid Waste Authority is run, in 25 years of operating, it has gone up a total of 3%. That works out to be an annual rate of a little over 0.1% increase. Think about everything that you're going to be voting on in the budget process and what you have voted on in the past years. Please tell me something in our line item that hasn't gone up more than 0.1% annually. There is no line item. It is a well-run facility. I'm not going to talk to you tonight about a lot of the other things that the landfill does that I personally experience. When I have paint and they take in those items, or the concerns about having additional traffic down on 81, but I'm going to talk to you as a small business owner. As you know, my family and I, we have a small business that includes a lot of rental companies and rental property, including commercial. We have a dumpster that we utilize. When we previously used a local company, but that eventually got bought out, our rates were running around a little over $100 a month for the disposal. We have watched of late that increase to over $600 a month. So we decided to start looking and shopping around, and we noticed that a lot of the local companies have all been bought out by larger companies. So, being who I am and who my family is, we decided that since we weren't going to go along with these larger companies with the dramatic increases, we went out and bought a trailer from Leonard Buildings. We put it where our dumpster is, and we utilize that, and our cost, instead of over $600 a month, is down back around $100 a month. That gives you an idea of what you can do. But what are some of these companies, if that waste and that site drives up the cost, and instead of the $54 a ton, you start talking about $75, $80 a ton, it makes it less likely for more competition to be able to come in. That little guy who decides he's going to go out and borrow money and get a truck and start competing with these big companies, because they won't be able to ship it out, and they will have driven up the costs, and there won't be competition. So I strongly encourage you to vote for flow control so you don't have to vote for a tax increase in a few years. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dan Miles.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Montgomery Board of Supervisors. My name is Dan Miles. I'm addressed at 1020 Hollins Road Northeast in Roanoke, Virginia. I am the Chief Executive Officer for the Roanoke Valley Resource Authority. The Resource Authority is comprised of 4 member communities, the City of Roanoke, Roanoke County, Town of Vinton, and the City of Salem. I am here tonight to speak in support of the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority. As our sister authority, we recognize the situation that is occurring. We are experiencing similar issues as well. Mr. Tuck did an excellent job of describing the situation that we're in now, in as much as local governments are responsible for protection of the health and environment. Pure and simple. We are not a profit-driven entity. We are here to protect the public, and we do so in the most environmentally sound and economical manner possible. We do not do it in a profitable manner. We don't try to be profitable. We don't try to compete. We don't try to be a monopoly. And that's the words that you're going to hear, is monopoly, compete. That's not us. That's not what we do. In fact, what we do is we foster the development of new businesses by charging equitable rates to everyone, the same rate. We don't have preferential rates. We don't have backroom deals with other entities that you can scratch my back, I can scratch yours. We're here to provide a service. And with that service, we have to charge a fee in order to continue to operate. And we need to operate in a manner that is equitable for everyone. So that's what we try to do, and foster that competition at the same time. One of the big differences, as I mentioned, we are not a profit-driven entity. However, commercial businesses are. 2 basic tenets of private business: charge what the market will bear. I'm sure you've heard that before. And then also maximize profits. You're not going to be in business very long if you're not looking at those 2 criteria. And so that's what we're up against. A service that is looking to provide a service at a cost-effective means, protecting the environment, protecting the health and well-being, fostering the development of that competition amongst the commercial haulers. That's what we're charged to do, and that's what we think that we do very well at. there is no animus in the process here that we're talking about. We understand the business sector. We understand where they're coming from and their desire to be able to make larger profits. I would tell you my experience in 3 decades of doing this work is that I have never seen a situation where rates are lowered and that rate is passed on to the customer by the commercial haulers. It's always pocketed and placed in their profit margin. That's the nature of the beast. It's not wrong, it's not bad, it's the free enterprise system that we live in today. So with that, again, I will close and say, we are not in competition. We are not looking to be a monopoly. We are looking to be able to provide that service that is needed. It's necessary. We're going to be here when you need us. We're going to have those ancillary services that certainly the profit is not there. The household hazardous waste, the electronic waste, the recycling, the wood waste recycling, the education components. Those are not the items that we're talking about here. We're talking about trash disposal. Allow us to have the tool to be able to do our job and provide the service that we need to continue providing. Thank you very much.
Board members, our next speaker on this issue is Lisa Cardell.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Cardell, 6603 Greek Lake Court, Alexandria, Virginia. I'm here tonight representing the Virginia Waste Industries Association as their chairman and also as Director of Public Affairs for Waste Management of Virginia. Waste Management is a leading comprehensive waste management service provider in North America. The Virginia Waste Industries Association represents private waste companies conducting business throughout Virginia. Our members own and operate commercial waste collection, recycling, disposal facilities, as well as provide consulting and financial services for the waste industry. Tonight, I'm here to speak in opposition of the flow control ordinance. Flow control is typically introduced when a local government cannot compete with the marketplace. Local governments then try to keep feeding their facility with trash to cover their operating expenses. Flow control is a scheme that will force local haulers to transport trash to the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority's transfer station. I also want to make the board aware that this proposal for flow control, or the proposed flow control ordinance, is illegal because it does not apply to a waste disposal facility, as is required by the state law, and there are other viable private sector options. State law allows flow control ordinances to be adopted for solid waste disposal. The Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority's transfer station, by definition, is not a waste disposal facility. Section 15.2-931 of the Virginia Code states localities may adopt ordinances requiring the delivery of all or any portion of the garbage, trash, or refuse generated or disposed of within the localities to waste disposal facilities. Title IX of the Virginia Code 20-81-10 defines a solid waste disposal facility as a facility in which solid waste will remain after closure. The same part of the administrative code defines disposal as the discharge, deposit, injection, dumping, spilling, leaking, or placing of any solid waste into or on any land or water, such as that of a solid waste or any constituent of it that may enter the environment or be emitted into the air or discharged into the water. Again, the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority's transfer station simply does not meet this requirement. In addition, the flow control ordinance is also illegal because there are also viable private sector disposal options. Section 15.2-31 of the code says that a locality may adopt a flow control ordinance only if after finding that there are no other viable private sector alternatives. There are currently multiple private sector companies operating at least 7 transfer stations or facilities within Montgomery County or within a reasonable driving distance. An actual waste disposal facility, the New River Valley Resource Authority's landfill, exists only 25 miles away. Private haulers will be prohibited from taking their waste to the New River Valley Resource Authority's landfill or to any other option if the flow control ordinance is passed. Montgomery County residents and businesses should be very concerned about flow control. Flow control does create a monopoly for trash disposal. Flow control creates a hidden tax that makes trash disposal more expensive. With flow control, residents and businesses will be forced to pay above market disposal costs. Without flow control, government-owned disposal facilities are forced to compete with more efficient private sector disposal facilities. In competitive markets, the consumer will be able to shop around and find the best deal. To summarize, the flow control ordinance is illegal, provides no environmental benefits, does not improve your recycling programs, and it eliminates competition, which results in higher prices, and it eliminates the incentive for the county to become more efficient and price competitive. I urge the board to vote against the flow control ordinance. Thank you.
Board members, our next speaker this evening is Dennis Moriarty.
Good evening, board, and thank you. Dennis Moriarty. I live at 4665 Kelly's Trail, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm also the general manager for public services at our location in Roanoke. My point to speak to you this evening is to speak against flow control. Primarily, two main points I'd like to make this evening. The flow control ordinance is illegal because it does not apply to a waste disposal facility as required by state law. The flow control ordinance is illegal because there are other viable private sector options. Montgomery County's proposed flow control ordinance is illegal on its face. State law allows for flow control ordinances to be adopted for waste disposal facilities, not for transfer station or other waste management facilities. Montgomery County is attempting to enact a flow control ordinance for a facility that does not qualify as a disposal facility under state law. The proposed ordinance does not meet the narrow statutory allowance for flow control ordinances. Flow control is only allowed in cases where there are no other private options and the county needs to ensure financing for disposal facilities. There are currently at least 7 other available options in and around the county, and the county does not operate a waste disposal facility that needs financing. The draft ordinance recites that waste disposal facilities other than the Mercer Transfer Station are available to meet the county's needs for waste disposal capacity because of the county's contractual commitments to utilize the transfer station. The county's contractual obligations do not bind private entities, however, and may not be used as a rationale to prevent them from utilizing other facilities. The existence of a competitive market that is disrupting MRSA proves the fact that flow control ordinance is not necessary and illegal. MRSA claims to need a flow control ordinance to protect its financial viability because of increasing competition. However, the county claims that the flow control ordinance meets the statutory threshold and that there are no other options available are adequate. These two claims are contradictory. Again, Dennis Moriarty from Republic Services. I stand against flow control. Very much appreciate your time this evening.
Our next speaker is Jake Petzold.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jake Petzold. I reside at 3625 Onyx Drive. That is in Montgomery County. I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to flow control. Broadly, I believe that we should carefully guard against the unnecessary growth of our government, especially in areas where there is a robust and capable private sector. I'm concerned about the monopolistic nature of this proposed ordinance and how it would impact our residents. The fear is quite simple. If Montgomery County controls all material solid waste, then Montgomery County controls the price for all material solid waste. The effect of the monopolistic practice would be felt directly on the many Montgomery County residents who live in apartment and townhome communities. The residents who live in these communities and rent their homes would be subject to any price increases that would occur as a result of flow control. Based on what I've seen, prices have increased in other areas from 10 to 19%, but studies show it can increase up to 40%. I hope that this is a real concern to board members. It greatly could affect those on a limited income. In closing, I will also express my concerns about the legality of this ordinance. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, but the arguments I've heard are definitely persuasive, and the county should not take the risk of a serious lawsuit. and for those reasons, I oppose this ordinance. Thank you.
Board members, our next speaker is Tyler Perkins.
Ask for the second person to be ready.
My name is Tyler Perkins. I live at 4580 Blue Heron Drive, Christiansburg, but I reside in the community of Roanoke. I've been a resident of Roanoke all my life, and I believe that Montgomery County is one of the best counties to live and do business. I still hold this to be very true, and that's why I'm here today. The idea of flow control is the exact opposite of what I know Montgomery County to be. The waste management companies that decide to do business in the county are the main victims of this ordinance, but not only are they going to suffer, but their customers will as well. These companies offer convenient services to many county residents. Flow control would cause rates to increase and therefore cause a major portion of citizens to have to give up their service. This idea is inherently free market. The county telling a private company that they must use county facilities is at its core a monopoly. Not only is this ordinance wrong, it is also illegal. Under section 15.2-931, the Code of Virginia states localities can adopt ordinances requiring the delivery of all or any portion of the garbage, trash, or refuse generated or disposed of within such localities to waste disposal facilities. To go along with that, Title IX of Virginia Administrative Code 20-81-10 defines a solid waste disposal facility as a facility at which solid waste will remain after closure, or we would commonly know as a landfill. These privately owned companies already follow this. The county transfer station does not fall under this definition. The draft ordinance recites that the waste disposal facilities other than the MRSWA transfer station are unavailable to meet county needs for waste disposal capacity because of the county's contractual commitments to utilize the transfer station. These obligations do not bind private companies. The county's contractual commitments should not be used as a rationale to prevent them from using other transfer stations. Is this the signal we would like to send to potential businesses that want to move into the county? This sends a very anti-competitive signal to anyone who wants to do business in the county. It isn't what we should do to successful businesses within this county. Flow control is a failed concept, and this draft is harmful to business and is a punishment for the actions of the county. I hope the board members share my concerns and elect not to pursue flow control. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nick Bunden, I believe is the name.
My name is Nick Bundren. I live at 10700 Blue Ridge Drive, Apartment C, Blacksburg, Virginia. I've lived in Blacksburg my whole life, and I will be speaking in opposition to flow control. I'll get straight to the point. Flow control is a government monopoly that will negatively affect residents of Montgomery County who rent an apartment or townhome. Rental companies in Blacksburg, such as CMG and H.H. Hunt, both of which I have rented from, use private companies to manage trash and waste. In other areas that have implemented flow control, studies have shown that prices have increased anywhere from 10 to 19%, and they show also that it could go as high as 40%. That is incredible. As a college student, this would cripple me financially. I wouldn't be able to invest my money back into the economy of Blacksburg by going to my favorite restaurants or shopping at locally owned businesses. Blacksburg's rental prices are already significantly higher than the prices in surrounding areas. Do you really want higher rent in Blacksburg? If you vote in favor of flow control, that means you do. Some board members may believe that tech students are not a part of this community because they are not taxpayers. But who are the ones going to the bars 3 times a week, working in locally owned businesses, and going out to the restaurants? Well, the 28,470 Virginia Tech students are the ones supporting the economy of Blacksburg, and without them, Blacksburg would be crippled financially. Longtime Blacksburg residents can remember the heartbreak when Mike's Grill closed down, and because of a lack of student interest. What would happen if McAdoo's, The Cellar, or even Souvlaki closed their doors too? I already have friends who have moved to Christiansburg and commute to Blacksburg for school at Tech. What would happen when rent prices in almost all of the apartments in Blacksburg inevitably skyrocket because of flow control? Is Christiansburg really prepared to receive a mass influx of Tech students? Do Christiansburg residents really want that? Here, I'll answer that for you. I know Christiansburg residents do not want loud, obnoxious college students in their residential neighborhoods. If you vote in support of flow control, I can only assume that that's what you want because that is what you're going to get. Monopolies hurt your citizens. You guys need to make the right choice. Thank you.
Our next speaker, and I believe I'm reading this correctly, is Becky Phelps, Fire Tower Road. Nope, not Becky. Nope, not Becky.
Not Becky.
I'm sorry. How about Bobby?
Bobby Phillips.
Bobby Phillips.
2360 Fire Tower Road.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for that.
That's all right. I'm here to oppose the flow control. I'm one of the companies that sold out to the larger companies in our roll-off business. And the company come and bought us out, spent millions and millions of dollars to buy us out. They didn't spend millions of dollars coming here to have flow control. They come here they bought 3 businesses out here to have one business, to have a successful business, and it should not matter where they take their trash to. If Montgomery County wants to monopolize the trash business, they need to get in the hauling business and compete with CFS and Waste Management and all the other companies here in town. The board here, I mean, I've been before y'all several times. Y'all helped me out numerous times in my recycling business, and I certainly hope that y'all do the right thing here on this flow control and vote it down. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ashley Garnes.
Good evening. I'm Ashley Garnes. I reside at 1817 Plank Drive in Blacksburg, Virginia. Kids in every neighborhood across the county have watched their garbage man perform a service every week in order to keep their streets clean and communities safe. The pride the garbage man takes from creating that special bond and gratification that carries through a local business when service is appreciated and recognized is immeasurable. My name is Ashley Garnes. I'm the General Manager at Container First Services Blue Ridge. We are a local waste hauler based here in the heart of Christiansburg. I have also been a permanent resident of the county since 2009 and was a student at Virginia Tech prior to that. My family is very proud to call Montgomery County home. Flow control is the face value that doesn't make it look so bad on paper. However, an ordinance such as this would have a drastic long-term impact on the county, crippling local business owners, residents, and employees of private waste haulers. CFS currently employs nearly 30 team members who live, work, and play all here in Montgomery County. CFS has made it our mission to truly be a local partner in waste, recycling, and C&D hauling and disposal. In fact, Altus Enterprises, who are also based here in Christiansburg, is a subcontractor for CFS's hauling. They have nearly 20 employees who are directly impacted by the operations of CFS every day. CFS has invested $1.5 million into a state-of-the-art material recovery facility that was approved in February of 2018 as part of the solid waste plan for the county by Montgomery County Regional Solid Waste Authority. You'll see the attachment in your packet. And now, upon completion, the rules have suddenly changed. If flow control were to pass, rates, prices, and the cost of providing a service would go up so high that it would affect every citizen of this community. Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority is not looking to create new jobs, find ways to grow, or work with local vendors. Where would those jobs go? Who picks up the loss that the suppliers will face if private haulers can't make it and businesses can't afford trash service? And taking out the trash becomes a true burden for your 85-year-old neighbor, Mrs. Jones, who lives alone. Last January, CFS won the opportunity to service the Montgomery County front-load dumpsters due to the county no longer being able to efficiently provide the service. Our relationship with Mr. Bill Long and his team is outstanding. We truly value the partnership. And in addition, CFS accommodates for any roll-off needs on a weekly basis that the county is not able to provide due to their current infrastructure and high demand. The town of Christiansburg is discontinuing their commercial rear load service as of February 1st. At the public hearing in December, no one showed up to discuss this or highlight the fact that the taxpayer dollars would no longer help provide this service, and businesses would need to begin working with private companies. Yet the taxpayer will not see any relief on his tax assessment from the discontinuing of these services. However, I guarantee you that Mr. Long and the local businesses who will now work with a private company will be extremely pleased with the expertise, professionalism, and competitive pricing they are receiving. Flow control has the same legislative approach. Instead of applauding a business and an industry for doing a great job on performance and compiling a smart business plan, the local government is punishing them because it's the fastest and easiest way to make up dollars in the county's budget. The ordinance holds private haulers hostage to get the taxpayer dollars and use the disposal rate to their benefit to make up in a budget loss for years and years to come. The public assertion into the private sector is a short-term fix to a long-term problem. And please note that this ordinance is only about MSW because the authority does not want C&D or recycling. Competition is the American way. As great citizens of the Commonwealth, we thrive on it. Flow control takes away competition. Haulers are forced to raise rates in order to follow the rules of the county. However, the additional revenue that MRSWA will be gaining has no assurance that this so-called benefit will directly impact the citizens of Montgomery County. And a passing of the ordinance has no plan in place to improve the waste and recycling infrastructure, create new jobs, or make progress within the sector. My name is Ashley Garnes, and I strongly oppose the flow control ordinance in Montgomery County. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joe Benedetto.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Joe Benedetto. I'm at 301 First Street in Roanoke, Virginia. I want to speak out in support of the proposal that is in front of you today. About 12 years ago, I lived in the Hampton Roads Market, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, and at that point in time, the Public Service Authority, SEPSA, was going through a similar thing.
Joe, could I get you to move the microphone just a little bit closer?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I lived in the Hampton Roads Market about 12 years ago, and at that point in time, SEPSA, the Public Service Authority there, that worked with the transfer stations and the landfill, was going through a similar thing. When they were unable to work with and to control the volume of trash going to their facilities, the public disposal rate went to $175 per ton. The private rate, with the power to pull the material out of the area, was at $36 per ton. Since then, the private rate has gone to $75 per ton because the large trash companies who control the landfills have pushed the rates up. Without SEPSA, that is the unlevel, unequal playing field that we face. I urge you to think about what happens if the authority is not there. The authority is not a monopoly. To me, a monopoly raises prices each year because they can. Hearing that landfill rates have gone up less than 3% over 25 years is impressive, very impressive. Our disposal rates in the Hampton Roads area go up 3% each year. Without the authority, what is going to happen to the recycling program that they operate for member communities? How about the universal waste program? Wood grinding, household hazardous waste, citizen education, education in the schools. None of this happens in the Hampton Roads area in the private sector. It's all been done through the authority, and it's not being done now. The private sector, the small guys, cannot compete with the large private equity firms unless there is a competitive and level playing field for trash disposal. A program like this that allows the private to control where trash is disposed of will only drive up costs. It, in effect, allows private equity to create a monopoly. This proposal, if not passed, will cost the county money, and it will create a monopoly, but not a monopoly through the authority, a monopoly with private equity. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Alan Cummings.
Alan Cummings, 235 Citrine Court in Christiansburg, Virginia. Good evening. Alan Cummings, I'm the Executive Director of the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority located in Christiansburg, Virginia. And I just want to thank you for this time to speak. MERSWA was formed in 1994 by its 4-member jurisdictions, Montgomery County, Virginia Tech, Blacksburg, and Christiansburg, to take care of all the member jurisdictions' solid waste needs efficiently and safely, and to be environmentally sound and cost effective. MERSWA is a nonprofit government arm operation, not a for-profit organization. The member jurisdictions over the past 25 years have invested over $11 million in capital expenses and over $90 million in operating expenses. So an investment has been made into MERSWA. The MERSWA transfer station, which is permitted for 1,000 tons per day, along with recycling facilities on site, have the capacity for handling solid waste and recycling needs for years into the future. MERSWA is governed by a board of directors appointed by the 4-member jurisdictions, and for the past 25 years have had the incentive to keep fees low and expand recycling services. They have been able to do this through economies of scale, which is the more tonnage you have, the lower the fee, and the more services you can provide. The ordinance you are considering would allow MERSWA to keep some of the economies of scale it has had the past 25 years. The ordinance does not make MERSWA a monopoly. The ordinance does not govern construction waste, manufacturing waste, recyclable materials, and others, and does not affect trash pickup operations. MERSWA has never had any taxing power and must pay for all its expenses through tipping fees. The facility has been efficient and cost effective, and over the last 13 years has reduced staff from 26 to 13 without reducing levels of service. The tipping fee helps pay for and has kept affordable all the recycling services MERSWA provides, which includes household hazardous waste, electrical waste and universal waste disposal, single stream recycling, recycling payback programs for cardboard and metals, recycling services for brush, clean wood, tires, shredded paper, books, white goods, and other metals. And we have met every year the 25% recycling rate, which is mandated by the Virginia General Assembly. The tipping fee also pays for and allows MERSWA to manage a closed 1.3 million ton landfill, which includes managing landfill gas, landfill groundwater, landfill settling and erosion issues, and leachate. MERSWA oversees a pretreatment facility for leachate generated at the closed landfill and transfer station, over 6,000 gallons treated last year, and must meet certain water standards before being allowed to release to the town of Christiansburg wastewater plant. The tipping fee also helps pay for the authority's free tours to the schools and the public, which reached over 6,000 people last year. The tipping fee has been said to be high compared to other landfills and other transfer stations. But we are not just a landfill, and we are not just a transfer station. As you can see, we are a multifaceted facility providing many, many other services. If we were to become just a transfer station or a dirty material recycling facility, we could eliminate all of the other services that I have mentioned, and the tipping fee would drop to under $50 a ton. But that is not what the public has wanted MERSWA to be the past 25 years. MERSWA has only raised our tipping fee $1.50 per ton over the past 25 years and added many services. We've won awards for innovation and safety. MERSWA has had no environmental violations the past 18 years at our 3 permitted facilities, the closed landfill, transfer station, tire facility, and have never been shut down. We have been environmentally sound. We have always been open and here for the citizens of Montgomery County. We are reliable, dependable, and here to serve the citizens of Montgomery County for their solid waste needs. Without the ordinance, there's a great potential for tonnage decreases at MERSWA, which could lead to fee increases and service reductions, which include many of the recycling services I've mentioned. I would just like to thank you again for your time.
Our next speaker is Bruce, and I apologize if Altus. Bruce Altus, thank you. The L's.
Hey,
Good evening.
my name is Bruce Altus. I own Altus Enterprise. I actually started hauling trash 2 years ago, I guess. Got a local business. I'm sorry, I'm going to back up here. 1148 Mount Pleasant Road, Charlottesville, Virginia is where I live. My business is in Christiansburg Industrial Park, 2245. We actually own two businesses there. It's LAS, Trucking and Construction. Been in business for about 14 years. I worked at VDOT for 21 years, left them. I started my own business, me and my family, and we've come up from one dump truck to where we're at now. I was raised in Montgomery County. My kids were, my family and all, but and we've been very blessed. But 2 years ago, we was given an opportunity to expand a little, and Rob Gentry, and which is the man that come and see me, CEO of Container First, took and come and talk to me because I had helped out a school a person that I went to school with that owned one of the other facilities, and he'd been in Christiansburg his whole life too. And he took in every now and then got in trouble, needed a truck, and he'd call me and I'd send him a road tractor and haul his waste to Tennessee. We hauled it on the other side of Lynchburg where he needed to be hauled just to help him get out of the bind. But Rob Gentry, what he impressed me about is when he come there, I told him, I said, I'm not in the trash business. I own some road tractors and we run East Coast. But you know what he said? He said, I went to school at Tech, and I'm part of this community, and I want to be part of this community, and I want to give the little guys a chance. We're growing here. We want to grow here, and we want to give you a chance. Now, there's a lot of competition out there hauling trash, don't get me wrong, and it's not going to put me out of business, but I will tell you, when he come in and he said, we're building a new facility and you can start out with 3-4 trucks and you can grow along with us and we will feed this community, and feed the people in this community. Meant something to me because this is my community. And so I got to praise him for that. I got to praise him for wanting to give that work to the people in this community. Now, other waste management places got no problem with it. But their hauling and stuff comes out of Montgomery County. It don't come from here. It don't hit my employees. And so if they are willing to keep it in Montgomery County, and all levels of people are going to benefit from it, because there are a lot of people, truck drivers, but equipment operators, loading the trash, right down to the people who work there, to the office staff, they're coming out of this community. And if they will make a commitment to that, and he did to me that day, I think it means a lot, because it's a whole lot easier for them to go and look at these big companies that we're talking about and hire them, because it's a whole lot easier. But if they will come in here and help this community grow, to help the people make a living here. And me and my wife in 14 years, in the last 6 to 8 years, I guess we've been employed anywhere from 80 to about 115 people a year is what we employ. We do a lot of VDOT work and we do hauling. But I think it's a good opportunity for this community. And I just got to say that, small businesses, they need to grow. And if they're willing to help the small businesses grow and follow the rules, that's where I think we need to be. We should not smother small business out. And like I said, we started our business 14 years ago. Been very blessed. And if other people in this county can be blessed by another business coming in, I say we need to let them in here. So I guess I'm against the flood patrol, but again, it's because my people's getting fed. So that's, I'm going to wrap it up. But I do appreciate y'all letting me talk, and I appreciate Containment First giving me a chance. Thank y'all.
Board members, our last speaker that has signed up to speak on this issue is Paul Jacobson.
Good evening. Excuse me. I'm Paul Jacobson. I'm the attorney for Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority. I'm at the Sands Anderson Law Firm. Our local office is 150 Peppers Ferry Road, Northeast in Christiansburg. Good to see all of you again, and I understand you have a new member as well. Flow control ordinances have been adopted in at least 8 Virginia localities years ago, and none of these have been repealed. These were adopted by the localities for the same reasons as are relevant here tonight, to provide a consistent revenue stream to pay for both existing and future capital and operational expenses to solid waste disposal infrastructure. The proposed ordinance is carefully drafted and makes reference to public documents the county has had for quite some time. These documents support the findings made in the ordinance. They're right here. I believe you all have received copies of those documents. The documents discuss a history of solid waste services in the Montgomery County area. This history is that for many decades, the county has, in the absence of large-scale private sector alternatives, built a public sector of solid waste disposal. In the 70s and 80s, the 1970s and 1980s, the county utilized its own landfill. In 1994, as you've heard, Montgomery Regional was formed and took over the county's mid-county landfill. In 1997, I think this may come to news to some of the previous speakers, Montgomery Regional joined the New River Resource Authority to provide access to the New River resource facilities in neighboring Pulaski County for future decades. I say decades because when you're involved in solid waste planning, it's not a matter of months or years. It's long-term, it's decades. During this time, in the 1990s, well actually 70s, 80s, 90s, there was no serious proposal for a large private landfill to be developed in this area. That was not true for other parts of the state in the 1990s. In the 90s, industry members of VWIA, who you heard from tonight, developed no less than 7 very large mega landfills in Virginia, but in other parts of the state, most east of Richmond and all east of Charlottesville. DEQ data shows these mega landfills used a business model based on importing large amounts of solid waste from outside Virginia. That's how they achieve their economy of scale. This came from DC, Maryland, and New York in particular. A 1999 federal court opinion notes that out of these 7 landfills, 5 of them, 75% of their waste came from out of state, and one of them, almost 100%, came from out of state. Now, they have every right to do this, to build large landfills and take advantage of those economies of scale. By the same token, the county has every right to partner with other localities, which is what it has done in Montgomery Regional and through New River, and to build a publicly owned system for solid waste processing and disposal, and now has every right to take steps to protect that investment. Regarding some comments previously made, CFS has been mentioned, the facility in Christiansburg. Both the CFS DEQ permit and the CFS Town of Christiansburg permit note that it is a recycling facility. That's what it's permitted for. This ordinance does not affect recycling activities. We've also heard some quotes from the statute and the Virginia Administrative Code. Now, the Virginia Administrative Code was written by DEQ. That definition doesn't apply to the statute passed by the General Assembly. In addition, it's been stated that the state law requires a finding that there's no other viable alternatives. That's not what the state law says. The state law has a requirement for 4 findings which are in the alternative. You only need to find one. Your county attorney will no doubt talk to you about that in more detail. But viability is not the measurement. Thank you for your time.
Board members, sorry, that's all we have signed up to speak on the sign-up.
Sir, are you here to speak on the ordinance?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Okay, if you'll give your name.
My name is Matt Moran with Gentry Lock at 10 Franklin Road, Roanoke, Virginia. Here on behalf of the Virginia Waste Industries Association, my colleague Greg Habib sends his regards. I want to follow up and emphasize a point, clarify one point. Broadly, the existence of a competitive market in Montgomery County proves, in fact, that the flow control ordinance is illegal. State code lays out a narrow set of circumstances under which localities may adopt a flow control ordinance. And to paraphrase, that is that there are no other viable private sector options. And you've heard tonight from a number of members of the industry and citizens in the community who view that there are, in fact, other private sector options available. The state code also does not say, Mr. Chairman, that a locality may adopt flow control if it wants to avoid raising taxes. That is not a choice that is laid out in the code. I think it was said tonight that if flow control is not adopted, you will have to raise taxes. And nowhere in the state code does it say wanting to avoid raising taxes is a legal option for adopting a flow control ordinance. I'll conclude, Mr. Chairman, by saying that the Southeastern Public Service Authority is no gem in the waste disposal industry. It is not something that should be looked to as an example. And a very simple Google search will show you that the SIPSA has been ineffective in its efforts broadly and has not been well received by the localities there. I thank you for your time, and I just want to close by saying that you've heard tonight from a variety of citizens and industry groups, all of who are vested in this community and live and work and employ a number of people here tonight. And I hope first and foremost you would take their considerations and their views, keep those perspectives in mind as you consider this ordinance. Thank you.
If there's anyone else here that would like to come up and speak, come on up, give your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Rob Gidry. I have a residence at 611 Woodland Road in Blacksburg, Virginia, as well as a residence in Prince George County, Virginia. I'm also president and CEO of Container First Services. At the end of the day, flow control or whatever, I understand the legal side of it, I understand the professional side of it, I understand the impact of what Mr. Cummings' feelings are, but the one question I have to ask is, you as the board of a county that is ran by the Solid Waste Authority, when we purchased the facilities and the companies in this county, we set and we planned along with your solid waste board and your solid waste group here that we were going to build a facility. We were going to build a facility that needed their approval for the solid waste plan, but more importantly, they needed to understand what we were doing. Our plan from day one has never changed. Less than a year ago, February of 2018, less than 2 years ago, we sat down and explained exactly what we were going to do to DEQ, to the town of Christiansburg, and as well to Mr. Cummings' right-hand person of exactly what we were going to do. We were going to invest $1.5 million into this county. And I find it pretty funny that none of this becomes an issue until, number one, you have to operate your facility efficiently to compete. It is what it is. That's why it's called business. Secondly, that's what I find even more frustrating about it,
is none of this really becomes active till we see that you've signed off on the permit, you've agreed to put it in place for us to do it. We started construction, all of a sudden you say, wow, they weren't planning, they're building a really modern day facility and here they come. I'm sorry, folks. At the end of the day, I find it hard to believe that you go back on your word as a county, that you sign and approve a plan that was brought before your solid waste group. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. We can talk about flow control. It's really not about flow control. It's about CFS building a modern day facility in Montgomery County that people have got to get efficient to run their business. Thank you, and I am speaking against flow control.
Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak on flow control? Go ahead and state your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Hey. Good evening. My name is Ryan Martin. I reside at 1631 York Drive in Christiansburg. I am the Executive Director for the YMCA of Virginia Tech and a board member of Sustainable Blacksburg. I'm here today to speak in favor of flow control as it relates to our programs both at the Y and Sustainable Blacksburg. Just for some background information, we are one of the area's largest recycling and sustainability organizations. I can't give you 2019 numbers, but in 2018, we recycled 122 tons of textiles, 24.5 tons of e-waste, electronic waste, 2.5 tons of batteries, 32 tons of metal, and 14 tons of cardboard. In total, we had 75 tons of waste as well. You may not know it, but running a thrift shop comes along with lots of waste from the boxes and all of the other things that are donated to us that we're not able to sell. So we do have some familiarity with both recycling and waste in the way it's processed through the economic system of the region. We have great working relationships with MRSWA and have developed many of these programs in tangent with them. I will say that it costs the YMCA $55,000 to ourselves to run these recycling programs. That would be even more significant and higher were MRSWA not involved as a nonprofit partner working with us on this. In listening to the other speakers in favor of the flow control, I agree with all their points. As a serial nonprofit executive, I find a lot of power knowing that I have a responsibility to my constituents and to my board members and to my community members to run effective programs that are cost efficient, but also meet the needs that aren't being met in other ways. And working with MRSWA and Sustainable Blacksburg and the YMCA, we've done those things for these recycling programs. I do fear that those initiatives will go away should this open up to other organizations. Also, as a nonprofit fundraising individual, I can tell you it's really hard to find $100,000 grants out there to cover these activities. And I think it's going to be very difficult to find that from other for-profit companies that come into the area and start doing waste removal for us. I think it is incredibly wise that our forefathers, from 20 years ago, they're not really fathers, they're just like older brothers, I guess, thought enough to put into place a not-for-profit organization that controls this for us and works with constituents and for the constituents to make sure that we have responsible and cost-effective means of doing the waste recycling and, well, the waste removal and our recycling. Let's see if I can just give my points. Okay, so if residents don't have convenient options for recycling, which the YMCA does provide, they will not do it and just throw these things into the trash. And I will say that quite a bit of these things, especially the electronic recycling, contain heavy metals. And we do have people coming, we have to collect addresses where we take these goods. We do have people coming from Shawsville and other parts of the New River Valley to dispose of these with us. Otherwise, it's just going to go into landfill. So I really do think that it's wise for us to maintain the organizational controls that we have in place and the partnerships that we have. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else want to speak on the flow control ordinance? Okay, seeing no one coming forward, we're going to end the public hearing for flow control ordinance. And before I continue, does anybody need a break before we start our second hearing? Okay, we're going to go ahead and just take a short break, 10-minute break, before we go into the next hearing, which is on our fiscal year 2020-2021 county budget.
So we'll be back at 8:43.
8:43, yes. Okay, we're going to get back started into our second public hearing.
Mr. Chair and board members, this public hearing is for public comments to gather citizen comments regarding the upcoming fiscal year 2021 budget. I always say at this point, nothing has been proposed yet. This is a public hearing that's required just to provide input if any citizens have any input. I can assure you there'll be plenty of opportunities once we get into the budget process. I'll propose the budget in early March, and then there'll be a number of meetings plus a budget public hearing in early April for citizen comment as well. But this is in case anyone tonight wants to make any comments about the upcoming proposed budget.
Do we have anybody signed up?
No, sir, we do not.
We don't have anyone signed up, but if someone is wanting to speak on the budget, if you want to come forward, give your name. You have 5 minutes. Seeing no one come forward, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. Next on the agenda is the public address. This is where citizens can come forward and speak on any topic that they would like. Again, if you would like to speak, come forward, give your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes. I must have scared everybody away. Seeing no one come forward, we will be closing the public address. Next item on the agenda is addendum.
We have no
Mr.
addendum.
Meadows, do we have?
No, sir.
We have no addendum. Okay, moving on. Next item is items of consent. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Biggs? Aye. Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins? Aye. Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bowman? Aye. Chair Kuzikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Moving on, next item is new business. The Board of Supervisors annual appointments for 2020.
Mr. Chair and board members, you have a resolution in your packet with the various boards and commissions that require annual appointments. You also have the resolution from last year. Mr. Chair, either you or I can just read each board and who the current supervisor is, that, or in a few cases it's me as county administrator, and just seek if those folks want to stay on.
From 2019?
Yes, sir. And see if anybody wants to.
Do we need to have a motion in a second to start this?
Do we usually go through these and then do a motion in second, or we?
Yeah, everybody talks about what they want to do first.
Okay.
All right, the first board is the AFD Advisory Board. It was held by Supervisor Tuck, so it is available.
I'll take that one.
Okay, Supervisor Blevins will take the AFD Advisory Board. Chamber of Commerce Liaison is, I guess, my new one. Supervisor Biggs, you are the alternate on that. Do you want to remain the alternate?
Well, I think something happened last year and April ended up being, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind being the alternate unless you want to be the alternate.
No, it's fine.
What would you like to do?
I mean, I'm totally fine with you being the alternate for that.
Okay.
Is that something you would
Yeah,
like to
I can
do?
do that. You just have to let me know if you can't make it.
Well, you'll probably send me an email. Okay, Supervisor Biggs will be the alternate for the Chamber of Commerce Liaison. Economic Development Commission, Supervisor Shepherd.
More than willing to take it again.
Thank you. Okay, we'll keep Supervisor Shepherd on that, and Supervisor Tuck was the alternate, so we'll need to find another alternate to the Economic Development Commission.
And it meets at lunchtime on the fourth Thursday, and normally I can make it. I don't think he stepped in but maybe once last year, if then, because he has court. He had court. So
That sounds like a good assignment for somebody. Rarely ever have to go.
I'll take that.
You will? Okay, thank you. Supervisor Blevins will take the alternate position on the Economic Development Commission. Fairview District Home Board was one that I had, and I believe Supervisor Blevins would like to have that one too.
I'll take it.
Okay, very good. Supervisor King was the alternate on that. Did you want to stay on that, or?
That'd be all right.
Okay. Supervisor King will stay on as alternate. The legislative liaison, we would have nobody else do it but Supervisor Biggs, if she would remain on it.
So I can keep counting them on the head? Okay.
Okay, that one's done. The library board liaison, Supervisor DeMotts is listed on that.
I would be interested in giving somebody else the opportunity to be that liaison. It generally results in a personal versus business life conflict. The meetings are held on, I can't remember if it's Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but I almost always have to choose the meeting over like a soccer game or a band concert or something like that. For whatever reason, those meetings tend to always come up at times when my children have some form of activity.
You recall what time they meet normally?
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock,
Yeah.
and they move from, they try to move from different libraries. So it can be in Shawsville, it can be in Christiansburg, it can be in Blacksburg. I would be happy to continue to serve as the alternate, but regular attendance at those meetings has been kind of problematic for me just because it's disappointed my kids a couple of times.
Is there anyone else that could take that? Well, it looks like the alternate will be going.
I'll take it.
I was going to
Is
say...
that not going to be a problem? 7 o'clock?
What, 7 o'clock on Wednesdays?
Just one Wednesday a month.
Yeah, it's one Wednesday a month. It's actually this Wednesday, which I'd be happy to go. I know that's really short notice, but it's just I guess that would be the second Wednesday of each month.
The second? Okay, I'll do it.
Is that doable?
I think it's really good, Sherry, because you get to learn a lot about a service that we provide that impacts so many citizens. We might not even be aware of it. I just was, you know, when I got on there, I thought I sort of knew about things, but the programs they provide and the opportunities for people, so I think you'll really like it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Be Supervisor Blevins as the representative on the library board liaison, and Supervisor DeMotts as the alternate.
And I'll go this week.
Thank you.
Well, you were the alternate. Did you?
No,
Okay.
yes, I was, and Ms. DeMotts never called on my services, so that was very fortunate, but, and I appreciate that.
All right. The Metropolitan Planning Organization, we have Supervisor Biggs and Supervisor Bone as the alternate, and our county administrator. Is
We
that
can do that.
still something? Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, that'll remain the same if everyone's good with that. Montgomery County Improvement Council.
I
think
really
you
want to
invented
stay
it,
on
didn't
that
you?
one.
Yeah.
I did not invent it, but I did assist with the reinvigoration. It was not all me, it was mainly staff.
And it's now the Montgomery County Sustainability
Yes, it's
Council.
now the Montgomery County Sustainability Council.
Well, we'll have to get that corrected.
We'll fix it.
Now, Supervisor Tuck was the alternate, so we'll need to find another alternate for that. When does that one meet?
That one meets on, well, it's this Thursday. It meets at 10 o'clock in the morning on the, whatever this Thursday is, the second Thursday, third Thursday of the month.
Do we have
And-
anybody that would want to take the alternate on that one?
It's a meeting I do not miss.
I'd be happy to be the alternate.
Okay. Supervisor Bone will be the alternate on the Montgomery County Sustainability Council.
Yes, sir.
All right, Parks and Rec Commission, I believe Supervisor DeMotts wants to get off of that, is that true?
Absolutely not.
All right, we'll keep Supervisor DeMotts on there, and I am listed as the alternate, and I will remain so. Planning Commission Liaison, Supervisor Bone is the representative, and Supervisor Tuck was the alternate, so we'll need to find someone to fill in for that.
When they meet?
This Wednesday at 7 o'clock. In fact, I have a conflict with this Wednesday's meeting if someone could sit in for me.
I'll be at the library board.
Do you want to do it, Todd? You've never gotten to be on it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Just as a backup alternate. I
All
do
right.
enjoy being the liaison.
All right, Supervisor
Thank
King
you,
will
Tom.
be the alternate for the Planning Commission.
Probably.
Road Viewers Board, we're all signed up. School Liaison, Supervisor Bone,
I'm fine.
we'll keep that, and we're all the alternates. Transportation Safety Commission, Sheriff, if you're listening. I am the representative on that, and I will remain so. Hopefully, we'll have more meetings this year than we had last year. And the Virginia Tech Liaison is our county administrator, and
Glad to continue in that role.
he will continue that. All right, so
I have one question. The last few years, I've served as with the chair of the board as a school county liaison member, and I would like to stay on that.
That was not listed on the...
Yeah, but what list is that on?
It's not on anything, so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
No, I think that's one that, it's like the Greater Montgomery liaison too. It's traditionally been the chair and vice chair, but on the county school liaison, at least for the time I can remember, instead of the vice chair, it was Supervisor Biggs that was in that role.
do we need to add that to this list?
And
It probably wouldn't hurt just to reaffirm it each year.
also, is there a particular reason why it's not the vice chair and it is you, Supervisor Biggs?
Well, I think it's like my specialty,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to do it, that's fine too. Or or back up if I can't come, maybe you could go, or I don't know.
Oh, is that something you're interested in?
I'm happy, as the new vice chair, I'd like to do all of my responsibilities, but it doesn't mean that we have to, maybe we can learn more about why it was supposed to be the vice chair before we, just automatically choose that it's not the vice chair.
Well, if you want to do it, feel free to do it. It's just something that, I know a lot about, and that's, Yep, and you go and you write up the notes and...
Well, I do not have a coin on me, so I'm not able to flip for this one, so is there a... What would be the decision?
Do you...
Why don't all of you go?
Well, if we have three, then it becomes a meeting, so that's probably not...
Right. I'm happy to do it if we want to stay is the way that it's written. Otherwise,
I don't know that it's written or there's a history. It's just that it's traditionally been chair and vice chair, but a few years ago that changed to be Supervisor Biggs.
how many years,
I couldn't.
Ms. Biggs, would you
Since
say?
I've been here.
Oh, I did it with Mr. Tuck, and I did it with Mr. King, so that's 4 years.
And then prior to that, what was happening?
I did it with Mr. Brown for 2 years.
As vice chair, or and then prior to that?
I don't know prior to that.
Okay.
I can't remember what happened then.
That goes back to...
Say that again, Ms. Carroll?
I'm not sure the committee was formed prior
Okay.
No, I think thank you, Carol. I believe that's correct, that we didn't start having those liaison meetings until it was when Miss Blackburn came as superintendent.
Now, so do the towns have their?
No, it's
Okay.
this is just county schools.
Okay.
And what is the name of that committee again?
It's called the County School Liaison Committee. They meet once a month.
I'm happy to do that if the board would like it to be the chair and vice chair.
I don't
Well,
think
the
that
only
really
thing I would
matters.
say, if you're going to do it, I would appreciate that you provide the notes like I did.
Sure.
Because I think it's very important for all board members to know, since the majority of our money goes to schools, there needs to be an ongoing understanding of what's going on within the school system. And I think that, you know, as long as notes are provided.
Sounds good. I can do that. If that's what the board would prefer.
Would you be an alternate to that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I could do that. Just have to let
Okay.
me know.
Did you get that, Vicki?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So much for that.
Mr. Chair, I think
That's
we're
it.
ready for a motion and a second.
Yeah, we have all the blanks filled in, so we are ready for a motion and a second on this.
I so second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? No takebacks. Okay, please.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair Fizikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Can I say something?
Sure.
About what just happened?
Yeah.
I do have a question. Is there a particular reason why that responsibility that I just signed up as vice chair isn't on this list?
No, it would be similar, again, to the Greater Montgomery Liaison Group, which is traditionally chair and vice chair.
And what list are they on?
They're not. That's just a responsibility of the chair
Okay.
and vice chair.
Okay. Okay, I see. Thank you.
I'd like to say something about that, too.
Sure.
If the chair or vice chair cannot attend, then I think that other board members could be asked to attend, so there's always 2 there.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, and that's what we'll do. We'll reach out after, if the alternate, or if somebody can't be there, we'll reach out and get someone else. All right, next item of new business is Montgomery County Public Schools PPEA. We have a resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Chair Fizikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, next item in new business is support for equal taxing authority for Virginia counties. We have a resolution on that. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
We're going to closely watch those bills as they move through the General Assembly. I know there's been several proposals in bills already. We'll keep you posted.
That would be a great thing. Madam Secretary?
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Chair Fizikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Last item under new business is the support legislation to improve the process for review of legislation with local fiscal impact.
So moved.
Didn't give me a chance to say there was a resolution. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? Go ahead and call the vote.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Chair Fizikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, reports. County Attorney.
I have no report today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our County Administrator.
I have just a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. First, again, I want to welcome Supervisor Blevins to the dais. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you.
Thank you.
Also, again, congratulations to Steve and Sarah on your new roles of leadership. Look forward to working with you in your new roles. I wanted to remind the board of the extended work session we have Friday evening and Saturday morning. Sent out information on that, and we'll be providing an agenda before we get to Friday on that as well. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And also, as the county follows the state holiday schedule, this Friday is Lee Jackson Day, and next Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so county offices will be closed on Friday and Monday. And that's all I have.
Friday and Monday?
Friday and Monday.
Long weekend. All right, thank you, Mr. Meadows.
Some of us will still be here doing stuff.
I'm sure somebody will be. All right, we'll get to the Board of Supervisors reports. We'll go around the horn here. Supervisor Biggs.
Well, I'm going to congratulate both you and our new vice chair. I'm looking forward to working with both of you. And the only other thing I want to bring up is we got a list of questions from the Chamber of Commerce concerning the flow control, and I'd like to know where to pass those on. I'd like answers. And then the other thing I want the legality thing straightened out. Like, I keep hearing that it's illegal, and then I keep hearing that it is legal. So I would like to know, I want to know what the code says and how it's to be interpreted.
The chamber questions were answered. You didn't get a copy of that?
I don't remember receiving a copy.
It was in the information that, the information that was sent out earlier today was stuff that
Then
Mr.
I didn't
Cummings-
see it. Then I didn't see it.
Okay, you should have that. If you don't,
Okay.
let me know, because I'm sure I have a copy of it.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just for your information, the Chamber of Commerce took a neutral position on it.
Right, yeah, I know, but they
Okay.
had the good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, if I can add, and I'm looking to the attorney as well, I imagine before any vote is considered by this board, we'll have a work session to allow for.
We'll talk about the legalities.
Okay. Supervisor DeMonts.
Sure. I want to start with saying welcome and congratulations to Sherry. I'm really happy that you're
Thank
here
you.
and really happy to be working with you. This was a good first meeting. We had a lot of public engagement, so I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I really am excited to work with you. Also, I want to congratulate Sarah and Steve on your leadership roles. I know you're both going to do a really excellent job, so I'm really excited to watch you both in action this year and watch you work. And then two small notes, and I apologize, I meant to bring them for you, but the Parks and Rec Department has put out a new brochure. They're available downstairs. And if you had any reason to need extras, just ask the staff down in that department, and they can give you extras if you had a location that you wanted to hand them out, or maybe at your office or something, that you wanted to distribute them to citizens. But it has activities, everything from youth sports to Bob Ross painting. So there's a lot of good things that our Parks and Rec Department is doing, so please check those out. And then just a note for Sarah and Steve, and I'll bring this to your attention at a later date when it's getting closer to time, but you probably recall that the board voted to allocate $100,000 towards a solar initiative, and I think the Montgomery County Sustainability Council is getting close to needing to make a presentation to this board. And so we've been discussing amongst the committee. We've got a few options that we've really narrowed it down to, and I think we're getting really close to needing some time at a probably within the next month or two meeting. So I'll keep you both apprised as to when exactly they're hoping to come, but just a heads up that that is coming, and we'll be able to actually have a big discussion and make some decisions about how we want to spend that money that we invested in furthering our sustainability in the county. That's it.
Supervisor Shepherd.
I'd just like to say congratulations to both of you guys for your chair appointments, and congratulations to Sherry. I look forward to working with Ms. Blevins over the course of the next year or so. That's all I have.
Supervisor Blevins.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Meadows, the staff, everyone, and all the board members for making me feel very welcomed and being very helpful as I adjust to my new position and I learn as I go. And I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes, but I'll recover quickly from them. And I appreciate that. And I had just a few things. First of all, congratulations to our chair and vice chair, and I wanted to recognize Todd King for his service last year as chair. We appreciate that. And this past week was January 9th was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I wanted to give a shout out to our Sheriff Hank Parton there and all of the brave men and women that put on that uniform and serve and protect us every day. Let's not forget them. So if you have a chance, make sure you thank all of our law enforcement. Being a wife of a state trooper, they sacrifice a lot, and we do greatly appreciate them. And lastly, I'm saddened to report and share, of course, an icon, Wade's Supermarket closed in Christiansburg after 69 years of service. And Wade's Supermarket has been such a staple, for the community. There have been so many Sunday nights, chicken dinners at Wade's, banana pudding. They've done so much helping with churches and always donations. And I just want to say to the employees, to Mr. Wade and his family, we're so sad and we will greatly miss Wade's. And that's all I have.
Good job.
Supervisor King.
Just want to congratulate both of you on your new positions. Now you have a few more kids here you got to attend with. Congratulations on Miss Blevins for her first night on the board.
Thank you.
And congratulations, you got the best seat in the house next to me.
Absolutely.
I would like to ask a few questions, if I could, about this, the land at CFS. Could we get some information on that? I mean, I didn't even know they even bought some land to put a landfill on.
They don't have a landfill. They have a transfer station. There was an existing facility there, and it was a recycling facility at the end of Scattergood Lane, right up street from Christiansburg Institute. Right. And what they did was, that was purchased, and they are expanding that to make it a big transfer station.
Right. But they got permits to do it, right?
They got permits to be a recycling facility.
But not a transfer place?
Not yet.
I don't know the answer to that. We can find out.
I appreciate it if you would. And I'm still on the fence about, but this is not the time to discuss it. That's all I have.
Okay. Vice Chair Bone.
I want to thank everyone for voting for me for vice chair. I'm looking forward to this position and helping us be as successful as possible. I want to congratulate the chair, Supervisor Fidzikowski. I look forward to working with you. I want to thank former chair King for doing a great job last year, as well as former vice chair Supervisor DeMotts for being a steady vice chair for the last several years. And I welcome Ms. Blevins to the board, and I look forward to working with you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, good. Now it's my turn. I can take all the time I want now. No restrictions.
Jeez. I make a motion to adjourn.
That would be denied, if that's possible. I'd like to start off by saying when Chris had decided not to seek re-election, I know in his mind he was thinking, who can we find to fill that seat? I was having that same thought process and thinking, well, who could we get that would fill that position very well? And I was talking to my wife about it, and she said, have you talked to Sherry Blevins? I said, no, but she would be excellent. And I contacted Chris, and he says, yeah, I'm talking to Sherry about that. So I think that says a lot about your position, that there's a lot of people out there that felt like you were a very good fit, and I think it showed in your election because you won. And look forward to working with you. Look forward to listening to what you have to say and maybe some new ideas. With the work session coming up, I look forward to that, and hopefully make a big impact. I also want to thank you all for having confidence in me to elect me as chair. I appreciate that very much. I promise that I will do whatever I can, and I will work as hard as I can to fill that position and do it in a satisfactory manner. Why don't we just leave it at that? Let's not shoot for the moon yet. But and I want to thank Supervisor King for his service to the county last year. I'm about to find out how much work you did put into this, and I've got a sneaking feeling it's going to be quite a bit, along with all the other duties and committees that I'm on currently. But you know, that's what retirement is all about. So, you know, take up all your time doing something else, and you don't have to worry about having idle hands. I also wanted to mention the fact that I read in one of Jennifer's briefs that Christiansburg Institute is getting started with some of that money that we gave them. I think that's great. It's going to be great progress. I look forward to seeing that project progress and come to its fruition, which I think will be a big benefit to not just the town of Christiansburg, but to the entire county, the entire area. So I look forward to that too. And I don't want to forget, congratulations to Supervisor Bone for her vice chair position. And I think that's all I have. We're done.
Good.